Hello lovely viewers, welcome back to Palmer12 official YouTube channel. Today we are back again on what we were doing the other time. Last time we met and then we discussed about algebraic expression. We understood the terminologies involved in algebraic expression and then simplification of algebraic expression, which has an addition and subtraction signs in them. In our previous video, we took about 2 examples. Now we are going to continue with the addition and subtraction, and then we will introduce the multiplication of algebra. Then we will know how to simplify algebraic expression by multiplication approach. Then we will solve some examples. Without wasting much time, let us take a question and then use the steps that we learned in our previous video to solve those questions. Now let us start. Now let's take a question of this sort. Have a question, say 5x plus 4 minus 9y plus 3x, 3x, this is plus, and plus 2y minus 7. Now you can remember in our previous video we said that anytime you are given an algebraic expression, the first thing that you should consider is the like terms. Now we explained like terms are variables of the same kind with the same degree of power. Okay, now if we are to look at this particular expression, the like terms over here are x to the power 1, y to the power 1, and then a constant value without any variable attached to it. I explained this the other time that anytime there is a variable without a number, it means there is a coefficient of 1, and anytime there is a number without a variable, it means that number has a variable with an exponent of 0, and for that matter we call those numbers as a constant value, so a constant number. Alright, so now the like terms are variable x, variable y, and the constant. So in our previous video we said that we group those like terms without changing the sign attached to those terms. So in grouping, I have 3x, and another 3x here. So it means because we have x to the power 1, x to the power 1, these two terms are liked. I have negative 9y and I have positive 3y. Now our focus is not on the 9 and the 3, but it is on the y over here. So far as there is y over here and there is y over here with the same power of degree, then it means they are like terms. Then I have positive 4 over here and then negative 7 over here, which means that this has a constant, or this is constant and this is also constant. So in short, these are the like terms which are identified in this particular question. So we group these like terms. We group the like terms, so we have 3x then plus 3x. So looking at it, I have been able to group all the x values. Then I have negative 9y. So I said that the sign does not change even if it is moving. Then I have positive 3y. Then the last one, or the last terms I have, are the constant. So I have a positive 4 value and then a negative 7. Okay, so what was the last step, or the next step? We look at the coefficients to each variable and then we add or subtract depending on the sign. So in actual sense, if I pick the coefficient of x here, the coefficient of x here is 3, the coefficient of x here is 3. So I'll have to add this 3 to this 3. And adding 3 to another 3 will give me a value of 6. So I'm going to have 6. Then I'll write the variable x in front of it like this. So I have simplified the y(x) value here. Then what this means is that I have 9 items and I owe someone 9 items and I have 3 items on me, and I decided to pay that person off. So I gave out all the 3 items I had on me to the one I am owing, and it was not enough. So I still have to add extra 6 in order to clear all my debts. So in actual sense, I still owe the person 6 items. So anytime you are owing, I said it has an effect of negative sign. So in actual sense, negative 9 plus 3 is going to give me a negative 6 as my answer. And what variable are we dealing with? We are dealing with variable y. Okay, then we come to the constant. What does this mean? I have a positive 7 and positive 4 and then a negative 7. So what this means is that, just as I explained over here, this one too means that I have 4 items on me and I am owing someone and 7 items. What does it mean? I will give all the 4 items on me to the one I am owing, and I will still have to give extra 3 in order to clear my debt. So after giving off the 4 items on me, I will still have to give the owner or the person extra 3. So it means I am owing the person 3, which means negative 3. Okay, so at this level we can end it at this point. The last time I said, when we get to factorization of algebra, we can do something to what we've gotten here. As far as we've not gotten there, please, we are taking it in a step by step. Let us look at another question. Now, the next question we are going to look at is, have 2p minus 3q plus 3p then plus 5q. Alright, so this is another question we will also look at. We have been given 2p minus 3q plus 2p plus 5q. The step still holds. We are saying that you look and identify the like terms here. So the like terms to this particular expression are p and q. The variables to these particular expressions are p and q. So we have to look at how many p are there in this expression. If there are p with the same degree of power, then we group them as one term. If there are q with the same degree of power, we also group them as another term. And it is, we have 2p and then 3q as one term. Please, this negative is not affecting the 2p, it's rather affecting the 3q. Please, let's take note of that. So we are going to have our 2p plus, it is plus because this is positive over here, so plus 3p. Now we have been able to group the p variables. We are left with the q. So I have negative 3q, negative 3q, sorry, negative 3q plus 5q. Okay, so now we've been able to group the like terms. What do we do again? We simplify the like terms by adding or subtracting the coefficients of the like terms. Right, so with this I have 2 plus 3 giving me 5, and then the coefficient, the variable p. Now negative 3 plus 5, meaning I am owing someone 3 items and I have 5 items on me. So what do? I will give the 3 items that I am owing to the person, and I'll be left with extra 2 items. It means those extra 2 items belongs to me, so it's positive. So I have plus 2q, and that is the final simplification of this particular expression. Let us take our last example and then move on to the multiplication of algebra. Let us take this as an example and then move on to multiplication of algebra. Alright, so the last example we are going to talk about is 22x minus 4xy minus 7x and then plus 3xy. Alright, 22x minus 4xy minus 7x plus 3xy. So let us look at how this one too is being solved. The same steps runs throughout. So we are going to look at the like terms. Now the like terms here are x and another x here. We have xy and xy, so these are the like terms. So we group them. We said grouping them does not change the sign, so please let's always take note of this. So have this, my 22x here, so 22x, then minus, yes, it is negative, so still minus 7x. Then let me take my other variables, which is xy, have negative 4xy, then plus 3xy. So now we have been able to group the like terms. What next? What we have to do next is to simplify the like terms by adding or subtracting the coefficients. Right, so looking at the values of x, they are not subtracting each other. So 22 minus 7 is going to give me 15. Alright, So if you don't know, you can just use your calculator. 15x. Now, who can tell us the answer here? I'm just going to write the answer because I've already explained these things. So I'm going to have negative 1xy. And in our previous studies, we said anytime there is a coefficient of 1, we don't write it. In fact, you can leave the answer as it is here, or you can further go down and write it as 15x, 15x minus xy. Alright, so this is how algebraic expressions are being simplified by adding them or subtracting them. Alright, so I would want you to also try your hands on this question. You leave your answer at the comment section, and then I will attend to your answers. You do it correctly, I will do something for you guys. If you also do it and you get something wrong or you made some mistake, I'm there for you to make some corrections and then teach you to understand it better. Right, so without wasting much time, try this question and then give me the solution on the comment section. So the questions are 14y minus x plus 2y minus 6x minus 5y. Alright, so this is the question. I'm not going to solve it. Solve the question and present your answer at the comment section. I will inspect it. Get it correct, I will reward you. Now let us move on to multiplication of algebra. Multiplication of algebra. Multiplication of algebra. Now, in multiplication of algebra, there are certain things I want you to understand. In fact, I have categorized them into steps or into various categories. All right. So now the first thing I want us to talk about is multiplying variables whose coefficients are 1 and 1. Multiplying variables whose coefficients are 1. And for that matter, we are first looking at variables whose coefficients are 1 and are not the same. So example is if I have x times y, right? The coefficient of x here is 1. The coefficient of y here is 1. Okay. Now x is different variable as compared to y. Okay. So you could remember that in the addition and subtraction of algebra, we said that anytime you are adding or subtracting, you will look at whether the variables are the same or not. But this one, it doesn't work like that. Whether they are the same or they are not the same, we can still multiply them. So when you are given a question like this, we can easily multiply this by multiplying the coefficients over here. So we know that 1 multiplying itself will still give us 1. So anytime the coefficients are 1 to both variables, then the result is the product of the two variables. So in fact, the answer to this is going to give us x, y. So that is what I mean by multiplication of algebra whose variables are different and have coefficients of 1 each. Now let us also look at when they have two different coefficients and two different variables too. So this is the type 1 I was talking about, the type 2. Assuming this time I have 2x times, say, 3y. Now there is a general rule to this. It says that you multiply the coefficients, then after that you multiply the variables. Now because the coefficients are numbers, when I multiply them I should get an answer which is arithmetic. Alright, so we all know that anytime we multiply 2 by 3, we are going to get 6. So I'm going to have 6, and when I multiply x and y, I'm going to get x, y. Alright, so that is the type 1b, which I'm naming it as the example 2. Now the type 3 or the type 1c that I want you to understand is when the variables are the same and they are multiplying, irrespective of the coefficient being the same or different, please, the same thing is what we are doing. And when the coefficients are the same, that is 1 1, it means the solution is x, y. When the coefficients are different, you just multiply the coefficients. So in fact, multiplying the coefficients. So what differs here is the variable as a whole. Now I am saying that if, assuming I am giving variables of the same kind and they are multiplying, then how do I multiply them? Do I have to, let's assume I have 2x then times, say, 3x. Okay, so I have x and then x. Mind you, this is not addition for you to say that this will give you 5x. No, this is a multiplication, and the multiplication rule is saying that you multiply the coefficient. I believe coefficient is not something you are now hearing. In our previous discussion, we made mention of all these terminologies. So please, if you've not watched my video, please go to my channel and then watch that video. In fact, for you to understand what we are doing today, you should understand what we did previously, to make it very easier. I believe I am making sense. Okay, so 2x times 3x. Here our focus is on x. Now here what we do is we consider the power of degree to the x variable. Alright, so in actual sense, this is supposed to be written as 6x and then x, like this. Now x and x means that x is multiplying x. I don't want us to say something about indexes here. Alright, so anytime the variables are same and they are multiplying, look at the power they have and then write this as a single variable, and then the number of times we have that variable in it, you write it as an exponent. So what I mean here is that I'm going to write this as 6. Instead of me to write x, I'm now going to write it as x. Then I'll count the number of x over here. Here I have x exponent 1, I have x exponent 2, exponent 1 here. So when I add 1 and 1, I am going to have 2. So it means when I ask you to multiply 2x times 3x, then the final answer I am supposed to get is 6x squared. Let's take another example of this same type. I have 4x squared times 3x cubed. Okay, so what did we say over here? Now we said you multiply the coefficient here. So the coefficient of this is 4, the coefficient of this is 3. So 4 multiplying 3 is going to give me 12. So 4 times 3 is going to give me 12. Now x to the power 2 multiply x to the power 3. So we can write this as x to the power 2 and then x to the power 3. Just as we said, you multiply the variables. Now because these are like, they are the same. Remember, we are looking at when the variables are the same and they are multiplying. We don't have to write them as we are writing this, but you write this as a single variable, then you consider the powers to each variable, then you add the powers. So in actual sense, this is going to give me 12, and then I'm going to write x as a single x, then I'm going to add 2 and 3 together and it's going to give me 5. Okay, so that is the type 3 I was talking about. Now let us look at the next type. The next type of multiplication of algebra is when I have a constant and a variable. So when I have a constant multiplying a variable, how do we multiply that? How do we multiply? So let me have this as my point 4. So a constant, say 3 times, say 4y. Then how do we multiply this? Now take note, this one I said earlier has a variable to a power 0. So it means that variable over there is imaginary. We don't see it. Alright, so what do we do here? It means if there is a variable here, this 3 here is also acting as a coefficient. And because the variable over there is imaginary, we say those coefficients are known as the constant values. So we multiply this 3 by the coefficient of the y here. So it means 3 multiplying 4 is going to give me 12. And then because I have no variable here, I'll just write the variable I have over here. So 12y. Simple as that. I believe you get this concept here. So these are the basic multiplication that we have in algebra. Now let us also move on to the complex aspect of multiplication of algebra. Now it's not complex, but the reason why I'm saying it's complex is that it's solved and then you are going to get an answer in a basic form and then still proceed in our multiplication of algebra. So now let's look at example. Assuming I have x, then I open a bracket, say m plus n, x bracket open m plus n. Alright, so what this is telling us is that anytime you have a number or a variable and there is a bracket or there is an expression in a bracket, now what we do over here is that we take this number which is outside the bracket to multiply each term in the bracket. So how many terms do we have here? In this example here, I have two terms, m and n. So x here will multiply this m. X here will also multiply this n. Alright, so what this is it about is, I am going to have x times m. Then you bring your positive sign here, x times n. So what is happening here? This is just like the first type we took, or we discussed. When the coefficients are 1, what do? You multiply the variables. So this is going to give me, alphabetically, I'm going to have mx plus nx. Very simple. So the difference between this and what we did was, this is like a double to the first type we talked about. This is a double, like we have x times y. We had xy. Now this time I intentionally, or we are saying that when x is outside a bracket and then it is multiplying two expressions in a bracket, or two terms forming an expression in a bracket, then we say this x will multiply the first term, the same x will multiply the second term. So looking at this alone is expressing, or is having a shape, or a nature of the first term we had over here. And then this one too is also having that same nature. So here is having a coefficient of 1, this is having a coefficient of 1. Same thing here, and then same thing here. So what we did, we multiplied this and this separately. We brought this addition sign here, and we multiplied this and this separately. And that is all. But this property of multiplication is what we call the distributive property. This property is what we call the distributive property. Now let us look at one more property, or one more multiplication of variables, then we end this video. We shall solve questions in our next video. I want you to understand the concept over here. Then in our next video, we will be solving most questions and then dive into it. Alright, so the next property, or the next multiplication rule I want us to understand here is, when I have say x plus y. Now today we are going to talk much on the addition signs. Then in our next video we will be talking about the subtraction signs, when we are multiplying with subtraction signs and that. And I also have another bracket. Say I have a plus b. Alright, so we have something called algebraic expansion. This one is algebraic expansion. This is also an algebraic expansion. Now how do we expand this? The rule is saying that you pick the first term over here, multiply every term in this. Then you pick the second term, multiply every term over here. So what we are going to do here is, this can be expressed as this can be expressed as x multiplying an expression of a plus b. Then what is here? Positive y, so plus y, you open a bracket, a plus b. Now what are we seeing here? This one is just like this expression we have here, which is duplicated. So how we solve for this is what we are going to do, but we are going to express it in a double fold. That is very simple. All right, so sorry, this letters they didn't come show up well. Right, so how do we multiply this? Now we have the idea that this will multiply this, and I'll have mx. So let us multiply it straightforward here. A multiplying x will give me ax, then with the sign over here plus. B multiplying x will give me bx. So it means if it was this expression alone, this is what I would have gotten, or this is what I would have had. But there is another expression here that I need to expand. So I also bring the positive sign over here. Y multiplying a will give me ay, then plus. B multiplying y will give me by. Alright, so that is the simplification of this particular algebra. I hope this video has impacted on you, and if there is anything you don't understand, do not forget to put that thing at the comment section. Please, if this is the first time of watching my video, I urge you to subscribe to my channel, like, and then share the videos so that your colleagues too also will see how simple mathematics, or how mathematics is simple. Please like, share, and do not forget to do the assignment I have given to you. Make sure you give the answer at the comment section, and if you do the correct work, I'm going to reward you on that. Alright, so see you in our next tutorials. Please take note of whatever we have learned today, because we are going to build up on this in our next tutorials. God bless you all. Bye.